allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor to Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Hope you don't mind, I'm gonna read. We come to you today with humble hearts, seeking wisdom and guidance as this board gathers to make decisions that affect the safety and well-being of our communities. We thank you for the dedication of our ESD personnel, men and women, who respond in times of crisis, courage, compassion, and strength. May you continue to protect them, grant them endurance, and bring peace to their families. Today, our hearts are also heavy for those affected by the devastating floods in central Texas and Concho Valley. Your word reminds us to rejoice with those who rejoice, mourn with those who mourn. So we rejoice with the family whose loved ones were spared. We mourn with those fellow Texans that lost their homes and livelihoods and their loved ones. Even in the midst of sorrow, we know you are present. You are a refuge in times of trouble, bring you to action. We ask that your glory would be made known through acts of compassion, unity, and restoration. May this tragedy become a testimony of your sustained grace, and may hearts be drawn to you, both need and credit. As this meeting begins, may your spirit of unity and service guide every word spoken and every decision made. Amen. Amen.
I'll let them start it. It's a great job.
Here.
So I prepared two reports for you for this meeting. One is a mid-year report, and one is, just a monthly report. Or I think the other one maybe. Or did we combine these? I don't remember.
No, there's two.
They're the same. Well, the information is all there. So for this month, yeah, we can. So for this month, we had 171 total calls for service. Not able to give you the station breakdowns from that. Both second. Oh, there you go. There you go. Yeah, there you go. All right, so 171 total counts for the month, or total incidents for the month. So that's up a few calls from last month. Average response time 16 minutes and 3 seconds. And station call volumes 115 out of the central or Vegas area, 32 out of Valmarais, which is up significantly. 24 out of the Orla area. So we responded to 13 fire type calls, 121 rescue EMS related incidents, 14 hazardous conditions, 3 service calls, 13 dead intent, 7 false alarms. So there's your percentages of call type. Obviously, the overwhelming majority is EMS motor vehicle accident, which is all 300 series calls. And then we had 8 total mutual aid calls. So it's like 2 out of Barstow, 2 out of Culberson County, 1 out of Logan County. And 1. Cherry Creek still respond.
Cherry Creek is very rare. Yeah.
They still have someone there.
The last I heard from Cody Davis, they have someone new. I have not met. And to attach onto the EMS thing, to kind of put a little more perspective to it, the ESD2 meetings typically rescue being auto accident usually makes up one of the top three most, highest number of calls. So, and we respond to all of those. So that's going to be our highest response. Or the auto accident.
And then the other one, so what I did was I took the same period from last year and compared it to, so there was some striking differences. So we're up about 180 calls from last year, same time period. So the side-by-side comparison, or if you would, top and bottom. So the top one is 2005, so we've had a total of 1,000 incidents through the end of June, beginning of the year. Same monthly calls, I just put the bar graph there for you, so you get a comparison month to month. And then the stations are a little bit skewed. We started out with calling the stations one thing in our emergency reporting software, and then we've changed it so that y'all can better identify what station belongs where. So that's why you see those numbers, but I can combine those for you. So for the year, we had 726 calls in 2025 out of the central station or Pecos area. From last year, it was 713, so pretty similar. Last year, we started staffing in Balmaray in April and in Orla in April. So those numbers don't really reflect correctly. But 68 calls from Station 3 last year, where this year it's 125, and then 39 out of Orla, which this year is 149. You combine those station names correctly. Scroll down. So the incident call types, and there's a summary. Mr. Hargrave, just scroll down just a little bit. So based on those calls, a little bit more. So the summary of those, essentially making up the difference, 100, or the difference in calls, we're down 27 calls from fire. Last year we had 101. This year we're sitting at 120. I'm sorry, backwards. Last year 128. This year we're sitting at 101. And the biggest difference is the EMS calls. We're up 222 calls over last year for our response to EMS related calls, whether that be motor vehicle accidents or just EMS related. So the fire incidents in a percentage is down 26% over 2024, and an increase in EMS related calls, motor vehicle accidents, 51% in that call type. And mutual aid is kind of a notable difference as well. As you'll see there, we've had 19 calls to aid outside agencies. We requested assistance once, which was a train derailment. And last year at this time, I think 8 calls for service. So I just wanted to run those side by side, or provide those to you. Y'all have any questions that we had to answer that we can?
Two point two is a presentation regarding emergency services, A and B.
Okay, starting off with the fleet matters, there's no attachments on that, just a quick update. Most of the apparatus that we have on order are doing fine, they're moving right along for where they're supposed to be in the timelines. We're about to start the orders for the brush trucks. What is an issue is the Stevens Martin orders that we've canceled. We're still having difficulty getting them to finalize the cancellation. So we have had communications with them, and they're working with corporate to set us up. We basically told them we want them to issue us refund. There you go. And then they'll also reimburse us, or not reimburse us, but I'm not sure how we had the prepayment for the smaller brush truck. And so they're going to basically take that over and reimburse us for that as well. So just waiting on them to process that and get it to us. I don't know why they're taking it. I had to prod them. I actually had to go to the top basically with So, yeah. But anyways, going to the top bid brought them and they started moving. 30 minutes later, I was getting phone calls. So, looks like they're doing it, but again, it's just a slow process. The P19, they're setting up a date right now to go with our vehicle that we're going to purchase. They're setting up a date right now to go do that, hopefully the 17th or the 24th of this month. And then hopefully shortly, as soon as we get the cancellation done, we will send out an order for the 2 brush trucks and get the pre-constructions on those. As far as the Metro Fire, it's still where it's supposed to be in the timeline. We haven't hit the production for it yet. It is in line. So that's really all I have for the updates, unless you have any questions.
As far as for cities, I know there was a timetable was trying to get this stuff, and it wouldn't go into any quarter date to avoid any additional costs. And they're showing it's not going to be additional costs.
Yes, I have emailed their issue the 10%. Or they're going to go with the 10% penalty, which contractually they have to. But we haven't gone any further in the process.
But I'm gonna be notified and then start the date.
That's all I have on that one. On B for posting district staff roles, did you have any updates on that? or-
No, we do have the, battalion chief training, position. It did close on the 30th of the month. We have 8 resumes that were submitted for that position. And we're currently reviewing those. See if we want to move forward. Interviews the president.
And I take it back, I do have one that I want to bring to your attention, which is the logistics director. As you know, that position is currently vacant. Staff and I have been working on what are the best options for the districts to move forward with that position. We're going to present that to you at the joint meeting, as well as also tomorrow for you all, workshop tomorrow. To kind of go over, we have some ideas for excuse me, reorganization that would ultimately move us away from a logistics director and have a purchasing manager take over that position. It would essentially be roughly about the same salaries with the purchasing manager and an additional fleet technician or fleet specialist. So we're going to bring that to you during the workshops tomorrow, kind of break it down for you and show you. We just feel that the logistics director has been nothing but a plague for the districts, hasn't served us well. Purchasing, centralized purchasing has been an issue. So we've analyzed all that and we'll bring you what we found. Workshop tomorrow and then also the joint meeting. That's all I have for the jobs. So member achievements, Chief Snyder, you present that?
Sure. So we just included anniversaries this year, this month. So we had quite a few, so see them up there on the board. And mid-life, 2 years back with us.
Already, time to go by.
Should not get credit for the previous one.
Well, I don't know how that counts. I didn't look through the policy. And then we did have some new employees. I think we talked about it last month that we held a testing. And out of that, we had 3 that had originally said that they were going to come to work for us. Now of those 3, 2 of them wanted more money. Well, I'm sorry, one of them wanted more money and one of them made the decision it wasn't the right time for him and his family. So out of that, we hired Mr. Coronado and then a custodian.
Kathy, you remember last meeting?
Oh, Hector, he's a boxer though, by the way. He's from Del Rio. His official record is 9-0 with 8 knockouts.
I think.
Did he go to high school here or something?
Don't know. I think middleweight.
Too small.
So now we have 2 boxers in our midst. They're on the same shift, so I'm trying to get us about.
So we might be adding a reading to the budget.
Yeah. Training. So for the training report, we completed 678 internal training hours. So that is when they do their company level trainings around the station, whether they do it online sometimes. and then external training, approximately 240 hours of training. Scroll down, Mr. Carter. So what we participated in was the National Fire Academy. Was a leadership class that we hosted here, so 6 personnel attended. It was a 3-part series. They completed 2 days of one part of that series. And when you put them all together, then it equals a leadership certification or certificate. So we were happy to get 6 of our guys into leadership training, which was one of our focuses for the year. We also attended the New Mexico State Firefighters Association, their annual conference. We sent 6 people up there. There were some keynote speakers. There were some very reputable people in the fire service. Scott Thompson from the Colony Fire Department was there. Chief Lasky, retired out of Louisville Fire Department, but wrote a book about pride and ownership. So several key people were at this. Kind of not in talks yet, but some ideas about us bouncing this back and forth. A big training event like this, where we host some keynote speakers between the districts, just very preliminary. The guys that were up there apparently won some of their competitions, but they weren't allowed to bring the trophy home because it's in the New Mexico State bylaws that the trophy can't leave the state of New Mexico. So in that sparked a conversation about maybe us pairing up with Eddy County and alternating some sort of big training event. So very preliminary, but I think it's a great idea when we get our training center up and running. So we can do something like that. So because we didn't get the trophy, they gave us three free passes to next year's Mexico State Firefighters.
So they can keep the trophy now.
They can keep the trophy, yeah. I don't know what
True sign of juvenile fire hats.
And they sent me some pictures, and I should have put them up there, but it's our young bucks next to some 62-year-old guys that they beat down on the Hummer races and stuff like that. So I figured water polo and whatnot. And then Chief Lee and Chief Fuentes attended the State Firemen's and Fire Marshals Association Annual Training Conference in Frisco. So that was another one. Like to elaborate.
Sure.
Shall bring the
It was-
trophy.
I'm sorry.
Shall we?
We didn't participate. We didn't have any volunteers yet, so I think we could have, so I think we could take it, but I did find out we have to get special shorts to be able to do that. Real shorts.
Oh, Lord.
Beer guts and all.
We get low on that.
Bad
We
picture.
want pictures.
Go ahead, bad picture.
That's like,
So same thing, it was a very good conference. Keynote, Chief Lasky was actually at this conference as well. And Chief Deere out of Dallas Fort Worth, he's also a good keynote speaker that was there. So a lot of good courses. I think Brian and I were both impressed enough that we definitely want to try to make this an annual event in the future. Definitely good networking in the volunteer deal, and we're already talking to some of our other members that were actually in the district that we should for this area. So we were talking to them. They're very excited that we're starting the volunteer program back up.
And I think future training is. We have the annual municipal school, which is the largest fire school, I think, in Texas, and held at the largest training facility, definitely, I think in the United States. Definitely in the United States. I think maybe in. Anyhow, so we have some people going to live fire instructor. This allows them to meet NFPA requirements for us having live fire inside of a structure like a training facility. The vault storage and containment fire, Cheeks actually reached out to us and asked if we would, because we respond to those types of incidents, if we would go to this as a pilot course. So we sent 5, maybe 6. There was 6 of our folks to this, or we wanted to send 6 of our folks to this, for this bulk storage containment fire class. And then Ropes A&O, Chief Parker has been a guest instructor for Ropes awareness and operations for many, many years, and he continues to do that for Bruce County. So we have some fire service leadership and development training upcoming July 21st, 5th. Ropes technician training, again, so leadership, rescue courses, that's what we're focusing on. for this year's training budget and hazardous materials specialist. So that's rail car emergencies, things like that, which is August 3rd.
That's it from the travel report. Any questions?
No questions, we'll go to item 3, consent agenda. 3.1 is approve the minutes of June 10th, 2025 regular meeting, and June 9th, and June 18th, 2025 special meeting. There's been a motion by Commissioner Riker, second by Commissioner Jackson to approve set meetings. Any further discussions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any negative? 3.2 is approve and authorize payment of bills.
Commissioners. All the people, they were pretty much all routine bills. June, and all of the, of course, all of the new ones dated today's date or the current checks. This was all cleared. There was a larger payroll, but it actually wasn't as large as what we expected, but we did do a catch up payroll that included all of the certification pay that was approved. And I did want to, we'll point that out a little bit later, but it did average around $200 per employee. We budgeted for $200 per month for still within budget on that. So and then I just have the construction bills. I don't know if you had a chance to fully read everything. Big bills to there's builders that were paid out at, or paid and approved at the last job. Other than that, everything was pretty routine. We did get the deposit from, for our dividends from Texas Mutual, and that was a nice check, and it's about 84,000. That's just a nice addition. Lots of checks for travel. Yeah, 80. Yeah. Have the property tax distribution at the 272,554. That was probably one of our last big distributions for the 2024 tax levy. Then there's the two from check. So Texas Mutual, that dividend that we received was $80,585. A nice. If you have any other questions, any bills. I make a motion to approve payment.
There's been a motion that my Commissioner Riker, second by Commissioner Brooks, to approve and we authorize the payment of bills. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any nays? Yeah. You say aye? That's it, all right.
Yes.
You better. 3.2 is the tax.
All right, commissioners. I just wanted to point out the one thing, the actual levy that we started with and then where it has been adjusted to. We started at an estimated 20,624,441.47. Then after the adjustment since October, we're now at 29,733,774 for the adjustment budget. And that includes maintenance, operating, and interest. So it did increase like what we expected. Refunds payable, they're still showing that we owe $28,439.92 tax year. Remaining balance,
Will those numbers increase in?
they, for the refund due, it fluctuates.
2021.
They, this is what's left, but it was at like 139,000 at one time. So it comes down quite a bit, but they don't automatically issue a check to the taxpayer. They, I guess, deduct it, or either they don't get anything until they actually become current, I think. It's not an automatic refund. It's not processed. The current taxes or it's applied to their current. So it's a little bit different than what we expected. We still have some money in an account with them, so they called it the tax refund recovery program. So when they issue the refund, they use the money that we have. And I'll show you where that is on the balance sheet. How much we have. So they deducted approximately like 135,000 from one of our distributions. They held it back to apply. So they only draw down money that we have in that account. As of end of June, property taxes owed to us were still $1,898,732.70. But we are for 2024 at a 96.94% collection rate, which is pretty. And then these other percentages, this is from October, when the new delinquent taxes started. So anything that for the 2024 levy that's not paid October 1st, that'll switch to the delinquent category. So that 50% collection is what they collected that was delinquent in 2023 from that was owed in October 1st. So that's what the percentages have come. It says year-to-date paid, you can see some negative amounts where it said, negative 68,021. That was refunds that we paid out. So it looks like, the majority of the refunds or the recalculation that they did was in 2021. So you can see that net year-to-date adjustment. So their year-to-date is actually from October 1st. When they recalculated, or when they did the new levy for 2020. Those big adjustments for 2021 to 2020.
Make a motion to approve the check assessment.
There's been a motion by Commissioner White, second by Commissioner Jackson to approve the tax report resolution. Any further discussions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any nays? Item 4 is action items. 4.1, chief financial.
And then our report differs a little bit from our CAD because our calendar year starts January 1st. So current property tax collected from January 1st and June we're at 26,268,101.78, which is more than what we budgeted for. So we're already at 100.92%. Delinquent taxes, $181,244 since January. The interest in sinking, we collected $2,474,255.10. part of that number's, delinquent, or interest and sinking taxes that we collected. as well. Interest earned for the general fund was $472,000.03. The Texas Mutual Dividend Revenue, that shows the $80,585.30. I think we collected around 47,000 last year. So that doubled. That transfers in, that's the money we're reimbursing general fund from the loan proceeds that were paid out for the station port project. So all of those transfers in it's from the station port project. And rental income, we're at $11,250 for the Plum Street property. And all 4 of those units are rented out.
There's two additional.
Yeah, there's 2 ESD, one only in place. ESD 2 bigger than ESD 2. There's 2 joint in place, so there's not any ESD 2 only. But they are already. Transfers out to the debt service, we did move all that money over so that. Salaries and wages, we're at, we have 61.62 remaining, and that's for 6 months out of this year, and then that included the certification pay. So we're pretty close to what we projected, or we're under due to, so we're under budget. due to the delays in the station. Like a broken record, I'm sorry. Rents and leases. Question. Under operating.
Or anything that you expect to be way over by the end of the year.
Well, we have the proposed budget amendments. It's gonna be the rents and leases. Gonna be the primary.
When, that's,
The budget amendment is on here. Budget.
oh, for today.
Yeah.
What about like supplies that we
Um,
have? Ladies or care?
I think the only thing was,
Positive motion.
the
Yeah.
positive promotions, there was some,
All from China.
all the stuff from China. It was, for fire.
It's already priced.
But I think other than that, everything's big. I mean, we haven't seen anything. I think it was just that promotional item. That. Not experienced anything, we haven't heard anything. So, and going to the balance sheet at the end of June. The amount allocated to the general fund, there was $2,115,989.83 in West Texas National Bank. Remaining balance of the general fund is being held in Texas Pool. And there was $25,829,120.32. And of that, going back to our budget history, I think we're averaging just a little bit over $1 million a month, so we should, of that balance, 19 million unallocated. Part of that will be used for the capital expenditure. So that's how much money. Everything remains, the same, the CIP, the construction in progress. So they're remaining same pretty much for the Station 1, 2 and 3 are pretty much at a stand. You have any other questions? The other ones, like for the apparatus, those are the ones that we prepaid, but there's no production. Real quick, so in West Texas National Bank, for the debt service, we have the debt service payment for 2020 is sitting in there. And then the debt service payment for 2023 will also in West Texas National Bank. That's up for approval. That payment is due on the 1st of August. That's also agenda. About investment report, we can probably skip over to the quarterly investment report. This is just for your information. This was the CapEx that was just spent. Well, condensed a little bit more. We took out, or it doesn't show the line items that are basically inactive. That'll do later. This one, I thought this was a good report for you all to see. This shows, because most of the time you can only see like the capital expenditures. Those are actually reflected on the balance sheet because they're not an operating expense. So usually you see them by an increase in the balance sheet, but I did go through and add the percentage of completion for how much was spent so far on the CapEx budget. It crosses over years. So, for all of the total for the capital expenditures for the joint facilities, we're at 24% of our capital expenditure budget. Joint housing is 99%. Dollars off. Fleet, 21% of what we have planned for expenditures. This is 24 through 29. Equipment. The equipment that we have planned, the total ones that's for the fire props and the sim man. We have the total capital expenditures, we're at approximately 23% of the total for 24 through 29. So now, that good one. I wanted to break out the Station 4 one. Don't always talk about breakout for this one, but for the Station 4 project, the land, when we did the CapEx, only owed, there was like 16,000 approximately left for the land. And that was for Beyond Engineering to do additional analysis. But that only came out to be a total of 8,500 low budget on that. And for the Station 4 project, and this is the amount that we're contracted with Theris Builders. So far, we paid them $5,662,120, just 22%. The logistics, $98,901, 53%. The project we should be final payout that one shortly, maybe less than 10. And then for consultants, that's that was the project management, so that would have been AGCM, Martinez, legal, Beyond Engineering. A couple other consultants. And this was just kind of a reminder of how much was financed. Pretty much for the Station 4 project financing, 52% of Station 4, the training center costs were covered by financing from that loan. So the rest of it's being funded by surplus maintenance and operating. Yeah, when we initially did it, or our project was estimated to be at 19. $1,200,915. And then we finance basically 90% of that. for the station. And real quick, this is the contractor balances owed. This is just for the CMAR, the Sarah's Builders. Christensen HVAC, which is, that was also Christensen, and Station 2 well, that's Chad Harvey well service. So this is that final column is the balance to finish that, and includes retainage. So approximately 20 million. 20,380,330.84 left on the project for their. Yep. I guess the quarterly report, that's number 5. That's kind of a
Was anything in that in report that you thought we?
number 4, that was just the cap, we just reviewed that CapEx year to date. And the income statement's kind of a recap, is just a little bit, you guys, or you all had, requested that report. It's the same as the budget report. Just a little bit.
One question that.
So, well, we could look at the quarterly investment report. I'm sorry, the number 5. I'm sorry. Okay, and this is just April 1st through June. Kind of a quick recap of the reported balances. Scroll down just a little bit. The bottom. I just highlight the bottom part. Yeah, so top, total interest earned from January through June, we were at $1,702,301.40. The average yield for West Texas National Bank was 2.41%, which is really good. We were projected to be, even with the investment pool, that supposed to level out at 3%. So the interest rates are actually still kind of holding pretty steady. Texas class was at 4.45%. Texas pool prime is at 4.46%. Texas class government 4.25. Texas pool's at 4.34. But currently everything has been transferred over to Texas pool.
Did they ever?
We haven't heard anything more. Okay. So this is just a visual of where most of our money is being held. The orange, that's the budget stabilization fund. The blue, the dark blue is the general fund. And there's the green, the debt service fund. And the purple is our capital expenditure fund. And that green, that's how much money's left in home program as of the end of June. So we had the other, I guess, report I showed you showed how much we had borrowed. We're nearly drawn down about half of the loan proceeds. That should be, completely expended by the end of this year. We'll be using just surplus M&O by the end of the year. One just shows the average yield. So pretty good. The yields are higher than what we budgeted. So just. And then real quick, we're operating at approximately $33,835.20 per day. And we had budgeted for around $47,739. A lot of that's primarily not in our stations yet. We have hired everyone that we just. At the end of June, we were at, $34,018,906.22 in just our general fund reserve. This doesn't include money that's left over in the general fund. This is just strictly in the budget stabilization fund. We could operate at 2.75 years if we continue to operate at this amount. Then, or if we don't transfer any, excess maintenance and operating into the reserve fund at the end of the year, we could operate approximately for, 2 years, at $47,709. Question? Else you want to go over?
Motion still stand. So there's been a motion by Commissioner Jackson, second by Commissioner Wright. To approve the chief manager's report as presented. Any further discussions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any nays? 4.2 is review of district purchase orders.
First one is steel fire apparatus. A while back, we came to you back in March, I believe, and got a new F-350 chassis, and we told you we'd be coming back to talk to you about a custom fabrication back part of the vehicle. This is to replace the current Battalion 1. This is a budget expense, it's a cost of $150,000 for this unit. We did travel up to Steel Fire Apparatus and looked at these, one that was being built similar to what we're wanting. And it is a very stout module that will go on the back of this, and it can actually be remounted years down the road to a newer model. It can be refurbished and remounted again, kind of like the ambulance boxes that we have, the pleasure ambulance boxes. So very well built. It's built to last. It has adequate, more than adequate compartment space. It will have functions for command and control. So very well built module. Just need your approval so we can get that started. Like I said, we already have the chassis.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Ryder, second by Commissioner Flores to approve the purchase orders as presented. Any further discussions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Nays?
All right, next one is Sparky the Fire Dog. How many of you don't know who Sparky the Fire Dog mascot is?
Who's supposed to win?
That's funny.
So typically, an organization will designate a person or person who are trained to do a mascot. Mascots actually have rules that go along with them. They're not allowed to speak. Gotta be very careful with mannerisms, things like that. So if you would like to try out, we will have tryouts once we purchase this.
So it's a little fire. for inappropriate.
Yeah.
So anyways, this will just help and, improve our relations with the kids when we're teaching fire prevention and life safety. So with your approval, we would like to get this uniform. It was budgeted. It has a little fan in the helmet, yeah.
Don't be out-
It doesn't.
Don't be outside.
In June.
Be bad up October. Prior, it's still.
Now you could have him, walk in parade down in December.
I can do it, I'll get wind that.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Ryder, second by Commissioner Jackson. To approve said purchase order. Any further discussions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Nays?
All right, the next one is fire and life safety, promotional and educational projects that we'd like to get from the National Fire Protection Association. This is also a budgeted expense. This is something that we try to do annually to distribute to the kids when we're out at the schools with our fire prevention presentations.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Wright, second by Commissioner Jackson to set purchase order for national protection. Any further discussions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
So we talked a moment ago about positive promotions and the tariffs and whatnot. So when Snyder originally did this order that you approved for us at our last meeting, it was internet based and we punched in the order and everything. So we didn't get an actual official quote from them. It was you're basically getting the purchase of the information through the internet, through their website. So when he went to do the official order, they did decide to, or they did have increases that were attached to all these orders, a total of $985 cheap. Is that correct? Yeah. So we needed to bring it back to you to make that purchase.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Wright, second by Commissioner Jackson. To approve. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Yeah. We'll raise about the resolution appointing the federal district as the designated officer of the tax.
This is their proposed operating budget. And this does show the appraisal district fees as well as the tax collection. Keep going on. Their proposed budget. Got a summary of how much they're billing each taxing it. Here is the 2026. So yes, for the appraisal district fees, it's $121,500. And I guess this budget or this line item on the agenda is for the tax collection, and that's what they're gonna. I guess the ESD one share would be $25,204 total. If you scroll down a little bit, you can see the 2025 allocation, which did decrease from last year. The tax collection last year was at 43,660. Scroll up. Scroll back up. So now it's for this year, 25,000.
Yeah. Is that?
That's for the tax collection portion. Yes, that's the annual.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Wright, second by Commissioner Jackson. The county appraisal district for the designated officers of the tax rate. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Any nays? 4.4 is authorized ESD if you. Still in office, do not perform the consistent of all of and vote.
Okay, Commissioners, this is the loan payment for the 2023 loan for the patient court. Payment number 2. Principal amount. The principal amount is that $1,077,304. The interest amount's gonna be $597,890. And after the payment is made, the principal balance will be $10,809,000.
Make a motion.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Wright, second by Commissioner Jackson, to authorize the loan payment. Any further discussions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Any nays? 4.5 is amended fiscal year consent budget by budget.
These are our proposed, fiscal year 2025 budget amendment. Part of this is to kind of restructure how the interest was posted at the end of the year. As you recall, we created the budget stabilization fund. So we moved the reserves from the general fund to their own fund, so that the result, we needed a budget revenue adjustment, just moving that revenue from the general fund to the budget stabilization. And then also we added the interest revenue that we projected to earn off of the other funds, like the Station 4 project fund. We're estimating to earn $200,000 interest revenue on that. And then of course the transfer in, we had it on the general fund side, but it's just adding it to track it on the other side. So it's just showing the transfers in from the general fund to the debt service fund. Just to add more transparent. Debt service interest expense, which we show the full amount reflected, the full amount of the payment reflected on the general fund budget. We just wanted to add interest expense to the actual debt service fund. The principal payment does not show up in the operating budget, a balance sheet item. Show up. And then these are the other line items that we're off. So we're proposing to make these changes to help with historical tracking and better have it better be reflected. Our big things that we were over on, there's the ballistic vests that were delayed from the 2024 purchase order, and the addition of 2 Connect boxes. Rents and leases, due to the station delays and growing district need. Contingent property that we're looking at, and also to cover all the additional. We only had, I believe, 3,000 budgeted for rents and leases. And that was for the Gomez Peak that we expected completion right now. This would get us to hopefully through the end of the year. Equipment rental. There was some items that were the Tasco and other equipment rental. Came in more than we anticipated. Hardware, that was just IT hardware, that was just $2,000, and that was for those. There's some items that went on the vehicles that were a little bit higher, $2,000. And of course, our other big bucket item was the repairs and maintenance on the trailers in the back, and then we needed some electrical upgrades for the logistics facility, with vehicle storage building. The electrical, they ordered new equipment like the tire melting machine, some other items. Upgrade the electrical, updating vehicle storage building. And then safety increased from $700 or something in that for several years up to $3,500. They're now based on the size of the flat rate. And then the incentive pay. We're moving that item, and that'll now be factored into the regular rate of pay. There wasn't a way to have that thing that would remain in that line item would be child. And we currently just have one joint employee that to like childcare. So the net increase for operating that's around 190,000. One show the changes for the general fund. We had $2.2 million budgeted for interest earnings, and at the time that we did it, we didn't have the budget stabilization set up. So we moved that interest earning to the actual budget stabilization. That one's a wash. And then we added the additional for the FF&E. Memberships and dues are increased. That would reduce the employee incentive pay, but at this time, we didn't need to do a budget amendment to increase the regular wages, we're still below budget. Also adding the interest earned from the transfer. Then to the actual pensions. Recapturing for fun.
But those all those money.
190 for operation, right?
Yeah, for the operating expenses, it increased by 190,700, and that's what we included for this.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Jackson, second by Commissioner Wright, to amend December 35. In the amount of 190,000. That's it, correct? Any further discussions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Any nays? Five is a 30 report.
Hi, everybody. I don't have anything additional to report. Pretty light meeting on my end for this meeting.
Thank you. You
Mhm.
were pretty
What's that?
I said you were pretty quiet today.
I know. I didn't butt in once.
Item 6 is the discuss personal matters.
No personnel matters to report.
And item 7. Executive, item 8 is a determined option. Then a motion by Commissioner Wright, second by Commissioner Jackson to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Time is 6:35 p.m. We have now adjourned. Thank you.